I'm Jim Collison, and this is the CliftonStrengths Podcast Season 3, recorded on December 1st, 2023. In this CliftonStrengths Podcast series, we'll look at how to feel more energized and motivated at work, one theme at a time, and today's theme is Arranger. If you're listening live, love to have you join us and chat. If you have questions after the fact, you can send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. Dr. Jaclynn Robinson is our host today. She works as a senior learning and development consultant. Join me for season 1 and 2 of the CliftonStrengths podcast, where we looked at well-being at work, our book, and the CliftonStrengths role-based reports, which was super fun. And Jaclynn, always great to be with you. Welcome back.
Thank you. You ready for today?
I
I
think
feel like
so.
this is your theme.
It is Arranger number 1. I spend a lot of time in it, but it's about everybody, right? I'll have some good
Yes.
examples as we bring this in. But Jaclynn, this season we've been talking about bringing energy to work. So as we focus on that today, talking about Arranger, let's think about it from an individual perspective first. So in what ways are individuals with Arranger, how can they feel more energized by focusing on their basic needs?
Yes. Looking for opportunities to collaborate with your colleagues on any shared goals or responsibilities. What I love about that is it could create efficiency. And who doesn't like efficiency as an arranger? As you start to share out ideas or problem solve, or even start to consider splitting the workload based on the
Mm,
strengths that each person has. Plus, I think the bonus is it gives you that opportunity to socialize with other people in the workplace. And that could be really refreshing in itself and bring a lot of that energy back into your day when you might, naturally be spending it working alone because so many people are either hybrid or remote these days.
I I think as we've moved into a complex, not that it's ever been not complex, but the
Hmm.
world's a pretty complex to be right now for a lot of people, right? And I think that arranger theme, as we think about getting back to basics, when things are
Hmm.
chaotic, I would always arranger number 1 for me. I would always actually just upset the apple cart, so to speak, wipe it all out, and then bring it all back together is kind of a way of bringing some order to the chaos. That just felt good for me. I think other
Yeah.
folks, when you think about your basic needs and applying a ranger to that, we've both been in a pretty bananas work cycle lately.
Hmm.
How do you, or what do you see, how do you think you can use a ranger to, for you personally, to bring some well-being back and meet some basic needs?
Yes. It's been almost a combination of arranger and strategic for me, of looking at the whole chess set, so to speak, to say, what all do I have to accomplish? And then
Mhm.
what are the key priorities within each of those? And then honing in on a talent theme for me, like focus as well, to say, okay, now let me get really specific and into the
Yeah.
weeds about this particular task. So I've used it as a way of just really having that broad oversight of what do I need to be focusing on and keeping up in the air in terms of all these, to your point, tasks, responsibilities, the travel schedule. And okay, now that I know what I have, let me hone in using some other talent themes.
Mm,
And
mm.
I don't know with a ranger if you feel like it's almost natural to even pull in other themes. I know we all do that with theme dynamics, but because a ranger likes to manage people or projects and lean in with efficiency. Question back to you. Do you see how a ranger likes to pull in some of your other themes to carry out all of these tasks?
Yeah, for me, and this kind of leans into the next question, but since you asked that question, it pairs well with, I have ideation 7, and
Hmm.
so it's great to think, okay, I want to keep 1,000 things going on around me
Hmm.
in what I'm doing. Maximizer plays into that as well as wanting to do more of things, and so getting those all spinning again. In fact, I'm less energized when things aren't spinning. Like if they
Hmm.
stop spinning, I get super bored, right?
Yeah,
So I'm like, "Oh,
antsy.
how can I cause some problems to to solve?" I know some people, when I say it that way, they always say, "Isn't that more restorative?" For me, I come at solving problems through a ranger,
Hmm.
and and so getting that ideation of like, okay, I want to start doing something here. What are 5 things, ideation, 5 things I can do to get the plate spinning? That what you and I both did is a perfect example of this next question. So, in what ways can an individual with a ranger feel more energized by focusing on their individual strengths and development, right? We just kind of walked through that.
Yes.
From a general perspective, can you give some advice on that?
Yep, and I think it does, sum up what we just discussed too. It's paying attention to where your energy and productivity levels are throughout the day. I think even more specifically, when do you feel most creative in the day? When are you most receptive to learning and absorbing information in the day? When are you most productive with your work? And then, as someone that enjoys a flow to processes and systems or working with others, when possible, plan your day around your energy levels and that productivity
Mm,
flow so that you're
mm.
really maximizing the time and energy in a more intentional way.
Do you think that advice could you can almost layer that advice on top of any of the themes, right? Thinking through of put adding that theme just to separate. I know we're talking about
Hmm.
Ranger, but it's just you were talking about that. I love that idea. You said focus on your priorities and find where your energy lies. And
Hmm.
I think that's one of those things where we can look at a lot of the themes and say, yeah, how does energy get introduced into my schedule throughout the day? And if I
Hmm.
can play it, I was watching this YouTube video that had asked the question of why do we launch rockets close to the equator? And that's because we can take advantage of the Earth's spin, right? And
Hmm.
so when you launch those rockets, the Earth's already going at a certain speed, and so you can kind of take advantage of
Yes.
that. And I think that's a similar thing as we think about these themes. And with the Ranger, right? We've got this for those who have it high. We've got this momentum, maybe this equator momentum. It's not the way you'd say it, but that's already going, right? And it allows us, okay, I'm gonna introduce new things or multiple things or get things spinning again, get busy. I don't know. Would you
Yeah.
respond to that a little bit?
Yeah, that resonates with me too. When I think about a ranger loving efficiency and really maximizing the workload or the day, so you're getting the most done in an
Yeah.
efficient way,
Yeah.
it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
You're already taking something that's going really well for you and just studying your energy around it so that you can amp up the multitasking you're doing at certain periods, whether it's you need to be creative for a little bit or you need to be, you know, get a ton of things, just get that box checked.
Yeah.
You're just going where the energy is.
That
And it probably
intentional
feels even more natural.
sorry, that
Oh, no, you're
intentional
good.
thought, well, as you say, it feels more natural. I think sometimes that hey, I'm feeling run down. I know I've got this activity that brings energy. I'm going to
Mhm.
step away from this one and go to this one for a while to get some energy back, and
Mhm.
then come back. You still have to come back. You
Yeah.
still got to come back. Still got to do it. So, yeah, to come back. But well, as you alluded to this just a second ago, but as we think about last question on the individual, how can you feel more energized by building partnerships and finding purpose within the role with the ranger?
Yeah, I think about where are there opportunities as an arranger to help bridge your team, essentially your fellow team members together alongside other maybe departments or teams that you work closely with because you probably have that clue to, talent or potential where you see what could be a very streamlined or more efficient way of marrying your team and other teams together to amp up processes. And maybe it's just having check ins with your team members and other teams you work with to say, are the strategies we have in place working? What do you need from us, team A, to support you so that your needs are met and it's going to impact, us, team B, even better? Where do we maybe need to realign our goals here? So I think arrangers have an opportunity, even outside of management, just to deepen cross collaboration, to have more enriching partnerships, and have more of that clear and purposeful path as they move forward.
Mm, mm, there's a lot there. If you didn't catch all that,
Hmm.
just go hit the 15-second back button on your podcast player and listen to that again. I think there's some clues. Let's talk about the manager because you mentioned that. And,
Hmm.
and we think about a manager with a ranger. How can they support others and their basic needs with a ranger? You
Yes.
hinted at this a little bit. Dig in a little bit more on that.
Uh, so a manager with a ranger might love a tracker where you've
Mm,
got the status updates and deadlines and any snafus or mishaps that might be impacting the team's goals and priorities. So then by the time you're having those weekly check-ins, or bi-weekly check-ins, depending on how much you connect with your team, you can update them more consistently on what their daily or weekly plan should look like. Don't forget the why behind the change. It's
Mhm.
easy, for arrangers to be comfortable with change for change sake, but you might have other members on the team that need to know the why behind it. And I'd argue all team members need to know why they're doing work, but you might want to take that pause, arranger, because you can be so much more comfortable with it, just to give your team that additional stability when things do change.
You may have bought into it long before your team has, and a great
Yes.
opportunity to ask some questions to say, "Hey, how are you feeling about this? Where is
Hmm.
this coming from?" But by the way, that is a can be an arranger exercise too, as you think about the team and then figuring out for them, hey, how am I gonna talk about this in a way that's uniquely valuable for each of the team members all at the same
Hmm.
time? To me, I think about that. I'm like, well, that sounds cool. Like,
Yes.
how do I do more of that? For me as a manager, you talked about monitoring, and for me as a manager, it manifests itself in monitors. There's a lot of M's there. I did not do that on purpose. Okay, but if you've listened to me long enough, or you've been around my podcasts, I at home I have 12 monitors on my desk. I want to be
That's
seeing
what.
everything happening at once. When I think about my teams, I also want to know what they're doing, or what the systems that affect them. I
Hmm.
want to know how that's progressing so that I can react fast for them, right?
Hmm.
And so yes, as you said, monitoring, I thought of monitors showing me. I love dashboards and status and knowing what's going on in different locations around the world. So that's kind of
Yes.
how it kind of manifests for me. Anything else you'd add to that?
I love that. Yeah. Uh, Maybe I just extend on that one part more, because you said, when you have that tracker, you can see what's going on
Yeah.
everywhere, even the snafus or the mishaps, to know what's impeding on their productivity, so that I've got that as a key priority, and I can kind of fight for the team and make sure that they've got the resources they need to carry out, these changes that are carry out these key
Yeah.
priorities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, monitoring. I think monitoring, not monitors,
It's
but
a good word.
monitoring is key in that. I don't know if I've ever thought of it that way for a ranger. I'm pretty crazy about my own well-being at times and all the things that it takes to get, and I feel good when I've caught something early, or I'm doing something that's good for me intentionally, right? And
Hmm.
it's taking all those different pieces. This is kind of more back to the individual, but if we think about it from from a manager standpoint, making sure those I'm managing are getting those opportunities, as well. Speaking of that,
Yeah.
let's think about how can a manager with a ranger help others feel seen, heard, and valued as an individual with a ranger.
Yes. So picking up on the strengths and successes of, I would say, the team overall, but also team members. And then next time you recognize an employee, provide context on how you specifically saw that talent in action and how it helped the team and impact the business. And you might even want to just take note of it. So when you get into your developmental conversations, you can come back to it. Hey, this was a strength I saw. We discussed it in brevity, but would you like more of these opportunities to be involved in X situation or whatnot?
Mhm,
So it's
mhm.
kind of a good way to recognize, but also just to take note, so you can start to incorporate those strengths into your developmental conversations.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that, especially in the areas of seen and heard. As
Hmm.
you were that the ability to track all of those things that are happening with individuals all at
Hmm.
the same time to bring meaning to them, I think is a superpower that, sometimes, and it's okay when we drill in on the individual, we can miss the forest for the trees.
Hmm.
And in this case, you're seeing all the trees all at the same time and
Yes.
being able to recognize the forest for the trees. I think that's a good way of looking at it. How can a manager with a ranger build trust and inspire and deepen team collaborations and community with a ranger, do you think?
Ooh. Well, someone with a ranger, as a manager, has that ability to help people see how their role really is a part of a larger dynamic work environment. And so, how does their work impact other teams or the customer served?
Mm,
What internal teams would they benefit from getting to know better based on their strengths? Just a couple of questions that I'll kind of throw out, because as an arranger, you can help people. And I don't want to, you know, put this in the realm of connectedness, because it might sound like that. But if we think about a manager with a ranger as that air traffic controller, they're seeing everything around them. So they can help their team see the impact they're making with others. And they can also bridge the internal teams together cross collaboratively, because again, they've got that whole big picture. I think the benefit is, where are we benefiting each other based on our strengths? And they can help celebrate the strengths of
Mm.
teams, not just their own, which creates empathy and understanding, a better partnership. And there's a lot of that I feel is a big focus on managers right now.
Mhm.
How do we create better cross collaboration and
Yeah.
that sense of community?
Managers are under fire, and
Hmm.
from a support, that's why we're spending time this season talking about this, just because bringing managers in is important in their
Yeah.
development and what they're doing. As you mentioned, kind of that air traffic controller idea, and how it sounds a lot like context. And I get asked that question a lot with high range, or people ask me, "Where's your context?" Because
Hmm.
I'll pull back and say, this is happening today because of all these things that happen. And while that sounds like context, it's just the arranger paying attention, because I need it
Hmm.
to influence, to move teams forward, to say we're here today because of all of this stuff in the background that I was a part of when it happened.
Yes.
And here's how we're going to move. Here's how we're going to take that and then move it forward. So I think it can sound like context. You may have, if you're a manager and you have high arranger, you may also see that, where you're thinking, boy, I want to pull all
Yeah.
these things in. It sounds like I don't have high context. Maybe your ranger thinking
Hmm.
thinking through that and helping those. What about those with high arranger, thinking about managers? How do they support the growth of team members? We've talked a little bit about this, but anything else you'd add is thinking about supporting team members with a ranger?
Yep, I think the ability to remain flexible and open to new ways of
Mm,
being productive can help their team members when they're in need of adjustments. Be it an adjustment in their performance because they're behind, or an adjustment in just supporting them through obstacles. Maybe they keep knocking on the same door and the obstacle's still there, so they need a shift just a little bit. Maybe how they're spending their time. That could be an adjustment in itself. Let's use your time more wisely. Or last, I would say, just, are there opportunities where this manager can help their team member with tasks? They're combining tasks to reduce some of the clutter, or they're reducing tasks because it's just not efficient the way they're working.
mhm.
So, number of different examples, team, and hopefully one might resonate with you if you've got a ranger high on how you can support the development or growth of your folks.
Have you been spying on me? I feel like today, as we're talking, you're saying all it's like you've been watching me. All these little bits. You're like,
Lurking.
oh yeah, I do, yeah, oh okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
do that. Yeah, and sometimes
A
it's,
lurker.
as you were saying that, and I just want to encourage managers at this point, as you were saying some of those things, if we're not intentionally thinking about how those are powerful within a team settings, we might miss it.
Mhm.
We might miss the opportunity to be influential, to manage people in the way they need to be managed, because we just think it happens. And it happens because we have the talent to make it happen. And
Mhm.
focusing on that talent in a way, and growing that development, growing that talent as a manager, can be super, super powerful to teams. So want to
Mhm.
encourage you, like me, if you're hearing yourself in this, in any of this series that we've been doing, don't play it off as, oh well, okay, it sounds like me. Think through, like, how would I intentionally use this to grow each team member, as we're talking about this. Jaclyn, as we wrap this up, final thoughts on a ranger?
Yes. So whether you're an individual or a manager, you have a great opportunity to help not just pull out your own strengths, but you see the potential in how others work and are just killing processes left and right. They do it very well. People could use some recognition. People could use that feeling of value. And so, where are there opportunities for you to just highlight the strengths of other individuals when you see them working really productively or efficiently? Um, and then, where are there opportunities as an individual or manager to start bridging communications and cross collaboration with the teams you work closely with,
Mm.
so that everyone's recognizing the strengths of one another and how they can start to put their heads together, develop trust and rapport, and deepen those connections, which is only going to make the workplace more efficient.
I love it. I love it. Well, lots to think about there. With that, we'll remind everyone to take full advantage of all the resources we do have available around Arranger in Gallup Access. Head out to my.gallup.com, sign up with your account. Go to the resources tab, type in Arranger. We got all kinds of stuff there available for you. Check it out. If you haven't, check it out today for Coaching Master Coaching. If you want to become a Gallup Certified Strengths Coach, we can help you with that as well. Send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. If you want to join us for the 2024 and maybe after that, but I'm sure we have something out there for you, 2024 Gallup at Work Summit, head out to gallupatwork.com. We'd love to see you here in June. And of course, stay up to date on all future webcasts by joining our Facebook and LinkedIn group. So you can find us on any social platform by searching Clifton Strengths. And if you enjoyed it, share it, hit the like and subscribe button because I'm contractually obligated on YouTube to tell you that. And we want to thank you for joining us today. For those of you listening live, stay around for a little bit of mid-show. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.